When we got married, I'd already had 2 abortions. Our son was born in September. We got married in January. 4 weeks later, I found out I was pregnant again. When I told him that I was pregnant, I
was enraged.
He was very angry.
Yeah, very angry.
And I asked him, well, what do you want? I asked him, what do you want me to do?
My immediate response was, well, I'm going to take you down and we're going to look at getting an abortion for you, because I'm not bringing this child into the world without a job, because I had just recently got out of the military, and it was during a time frame where the unemployment was, I think at that time, I think it was 11 or 12% in the nation.
So that was worrying you?
That concerned me heavily, and it was almost like, look, I've already got 1 baby in diapers, and now I'm going to have 2, and it was just overwhelming to me. But it did. I was a very angry young man. I was brought up angry. I was shown how to be angry by my father. So. And
for me, because I'd already had 2 abortions, I was numb from the 2 abortions from the beginning, and so what's one more? I thought, well, what's one more? I've already done this. I can do this again. And as a result of that, going through in February, I became very ill. We found out that I was not. Okay, sorry about that. Okay. I found out. Okay. Okay. I became very ill, and we never talked about it after that. It was over. It was done with. We both stayed on either side of the issue.
But there was still, for me, there was still deep bitterness and anger about the unwanted pregnancy at the time. So it did affect us tremendously. Even though we didn't talk about it, it still affected us.
Yes, you know? Even in little things, I felt ashamed a lot of times. I felt guilty. I know that when people had other children, I could see it in his eyes. I could see the pain and the guilt of what would our child have been. And so it was something we never discussed.
But even a few years after it happened, it did start to affect me emotionally, because I would be like, how old would he have been? Because I believe we knew that the sex was a male. And that really affected me in a way that there was a lot of guilt. I felt very guilty several years after that. Okay.
And shame.
We didn't really look for an answer, though, in the natural, did we?
No, we, for myself, I went off and went to all the support groups and everything, and tried to talk to you about it, but he would just not talk about it. Right. And so from that, when we went through our very first class, and we went through the forgiveness lesson, I know I walked through the forgiveness for myself again, but it was something, again, I knew I could not bridge that gap with him. Right. And so we went into leadership. Yeah.
I didn't deal with it at that time, okay? But you're right, we went into leadership, and we were at a leaders training weekend, and we were going to speak at that training weekend. And the Lord showed both of us that we needed to speak about and talk about the abortion that she had, and not only about her part in it, but what my part was in it. And so we got up there and talked about it, and I said, and I told the small audience there that I realized for the very first time the blood that was on my hands for the abortion that I made my wife have, and that I asked her to forgive me for that.
He asked me to forgive him, and he also forgave himself. And so it was a very freeing time for us, because it was that canyon and that hole that was in our life, that wound that we caused in each other, in our own life, it was healed that day.
That was healed that day.
And from that, we know other people can be healed, because we know it's something that people don't talk about.
Right. And just after that training session, after we spoke, there was a gentleman that came up to me, an elderly gentleman in his 70s, and said, "I've never told this to anyone, but I went through the same ordeal I forced my wife to have an abortion.
And he asked us to pray with him and his wife, and they were set free.
It was set free.
Also.
Because of our testimony.
And we know that God can, if we just forgive ourselves
Yeah.
and allow God to heal us and clean us, that
Absolutely.
we're set free, and
Absolutely.
so can others.